Hello everybody and welcome back to Mounties Midweek. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's show we go coaches only and we talk cross-country, sprint football, women's soccer, and men's basketball. Plus we have the final fall play of the week. The cross-country team traveled to Edinburgh, Pennsylvania to compete in the PSAC Championships this past Saturday. The rain was coming down and the course was muddy. The men's 8K race was first. Ryan Clifford sitting in second on the second mile with Quincy Amabile right behind. Later in the fifth mile, again Clifford hanging at the front of the pack. And the final stretch, Ryan Clifford crosses the line in second place, and Quincy Amabile finishes 8th. Both are all conference finishes. Clifford's finish marks the highest finish ever for a Mansfield cross-country athlete at the PSAC meet. The women ran the 6K race next. The course was muddy, but it didn't faze these Mounties. Powering up the hill before the final loop, Kenzie Jones and Lindsay Payne running with the pack. The two would cross the finish line at 46th and 47th place respectively. The cross-country teams have a week off before competing in the Atlantic Regional Championships Saturday, November 17th. The sprint football team closed out their season with a matchup against St. Thomas Aquinas. In his final game, Adam Hutchison had himself a day. After a first quarter rushing touchdown, Hutchison finds Quinn Henry to go up 14-0. Then late second, Hutchison again to Henry. Mansfield is up 21-6 at the half. Third quarter, Hutchison threw the air once again. The third touchdown pass to Amir Pope, 27-6. And then one more to put the game on ice, Adam Hutchison to Xavier Harris. Mansfield gets the win 33-12. The Mountaineers finish the year with a 4-3 overall record, earning the most sprint football wins in program history dating back to when the program was established in 2008. It is the most victories for any Mountaineer football squad since the 2003 season, when Mansfield finished 8-3 as an NCAA Division II member. For his performance last week, Adam Hutchison was named CSFL Offensive Player of the Week. It is the third straight Mansfield winner for CSFL Player of the Week. Hutchison went 15 for 25 for 193 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air and added a rushing score. The field hockey team had 2 matches this past week. They took on Kutztown on Wednesday, and the Golden Bears take the game on Halloween night, the final 4-0. They then traveled to Millersville to take on the Marauders, and Millersville wins that one 3-0. The Mounties take on East Stroudsburg this Saturday in the final game of the regular season. Now let's take a look at what else is upcoming this week for Mansfield Athletics. Do not go anywhere. Sports Talk is on the other side.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
As I've gone through school, I've been trying to pay off my tuition as I go, and it wouldn't have been possible without the help of the Mansfield Foundation.
I mean, the Mansfield Foundation already helped me a lot. As of right now, I don't have any school debt whatsoever, and I know the Mansfield Foundation has definitely helped with all the scholarships that I've received over the years for that.
The Mansfield Foundation has helped me out several times throughout my college career. They have helped keep my finances intact.
If you have any sort of instincts, you can get a feel of good people and bad people. Like, the people at the foundation are as straightforward as they come.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
Hello everybody and welcome back here to Sports Talk. Let's switch gears and talk cross country, as this past week was the PSAC Championships, and there were some really good performances despite the bad weather.
Yes, that was true cross country. There's no doubt about that. In cross country, really what matters is what place you are, not so much what your time is, and that was really evident. Cross country is a tough man or a tough woman sport, and that's the way that goes.
So let's start with the guys' side. A historic day for Mansfield cross country. Ryan Clifford finishes second in that race, the highest finish for a Mountie.
Yes, yep, he was second place, so that outdoes the great Chris Cummings, who is the previously third as a best finish, and matches Charity Learn, who in my second year here at Mansfield finished second at Edinburgh at the conference championships, and she was the first all-conference runner in history. So pretty historical day for him to match it in very similar weather conditions on that same course. You know, one of the interesting things about cross country that a lot of people don't consider, there's always some argument in team sports about who's the best player. You know, is it Julio Jones from the Falcons, you know, or is the quarterback the better player? In cross country, there's no doubt. The guy who wins, he's the best guy in that sport, and Ryan's the second best guy in that sport. It's unequivocal, and so that was an outstanding performance, and it was a race that was very much up his right in his ballywhack. He just loves that mud, dirt, hills, cold, rain. The worse it gets, the better he likes it.
Yeah, I remember talking to him earlier in the year, and he said, the worst conditions possible,
Yep.
That's when I want to run.
Yeah, it does. And then Quincy, who has, you know, he had things shortchanged last year with an injury early on, and then later in the spring was even further delayed with a bad illness in the spring. Has really turned it around, and he's been closing that gap on Ryan and getting 8th. It was really impressive. He really responds to adverse conditions as well. They're both just very mentally tough. So.
And let's switch gears now to the women's side. That course was rough by the time the women got a chance to run on that course. But what did you see from your runners? What stood out?
Well, I mean, I was just happy. I wasn't sure we'd get 5 people on the line because we had a lot of illness this week, and I was happy to see, 6 of them up there, and not everybody was healthy, and they still ran tough, and we got 5 people to finish, and that was great. And I was really excited to see Hannah James run her first ever 6K, and she was sick, but she still managed to get across the line and score for us, so that was great. We had, nobody obviously is going to get a PR on that course, but a lot of really good efforts. Ayla had a really good race, and Haley had a good race, even though she's never sure what she's doing because she's a freshman, but she had a great race. It was, some people had good races and some people didn't have great races. It wasn't a great day for Kenzie. It was a pretty good day for Lindsay. So, but I would say I was really happy to see everybody out there and doing their best, even though they didn't feel well, and knowing, we have a small team, we got to get 5 people across the line, and they did it. So I was really glad to see that.
And with the conditions the way they were, it was coming down, there was mud everywhere. How does that change a strategy, a coaching strategy? Because the runners have to have that mentally in their head, but how does that change your guys' strategy when you see that this course is torn up?
Well, I think when you have athletes that are as experienced as Quincy and Ryan, they can feel their effort going in, and they were pretty reserved the first couple miles, not wanting to get into too much trouble, because as you get deeper into the race, lactate levels start to climb, your coordination gets worse, and you don't really think about it, but as that lactate climbs up and you become more uncoordinated, it becomes harder and harder to run through that mud because you're slipping and sliding, whereas if you're staying more aerobic. So our strategy is based around a negative split, which is work our way through the field, not get out too hard. And we do that on good conditions, bad conditions, but it really favors us when it's bad conditions, because athletes make mistakes, other athletes make mistakes. They go out too hard for the effort, for the course. So it really can, they're very well prepared for that. And we deliberately go and do some really, really difficult things. We're running out on Shaw Road on the hills out there, and so they get used to what does that race pace effort feel like going up and down hills.
So talking about, again, the 2 top 10 finishes, what does that do for the program as a whole when you can look and see that that's 2 Mansfield names there in the top 10?
Well, for the men's side, when we're looking at that, and I'm actually talking to recruits coming in now, I'm able to say to them, look, we're losing Ryan, but look what we've done with him over 4 years. Ryan didn't even make regionals his freshman year. He was in the 29-minute range. I think he was in the 90s his freshman year at PSACs. Wow. He wasn't even in our top 7. And here he is, conference runner-up. There's nobody in the conference has made as much improvement over 4 years as he has. Nobody has made as much improvement as Quincy has. So we can show with really objective results that the coaching's working, that the program's there. It also gives us a chance when we're recruiting those top-end athletes. I can now say to them, look, Quincy's the 4th best guy coming back in the conference. You're as good as he is coming in. So we're looking at 2 junior college guys right now who can run with Quincy. Well, that changes our place from, 12th or whatever it was that we were. I think we were 12th, to possibly 3rd, just by adding 2 guys in there. And again, unlike other sports, you can tell if a guy can run a certain time, he's going to make that immediate impact. Whereas a forward or a wide receiver, they may or may not make an impact, but they're not going to make that much of an impact. And as for the guys, as far as the rest of the guys ran, Morissette ran really well as a freshman, and so did he was in the 70s, and so did the rookie from Towanda. Who shouldn't be running cross country at all, Griffin Seitz. And JC too, they all ran really well. And we got looking at the results and breaking them down afterwards. And we had thought at the beginning of the year that our 5 would get us to the top 10. And we lost Travis Keefe, who's our 3rd runner. And the spread of losing him, who he probably would have been in the 60s, was about a 50-point spread. It would have put us up to 8th place, which would have been second best finish at the conference meet in our program history. We knew we were solid. But so yeah, it does. And the kids that are looking at the program at the end of the day, they look at that and they're like, yeah, he does a good job. I think we'll consider this place.
So regionals comes up in a couple weeks. What can you take, because you're going to see a lot of these teams and a lot of these athletes again, plus you add in another batch. What can you take from the PSAC race that's going to help with again, strategy, but also just knowing what you have to do in this regional race?
So this is, most of the season, I don't look at a lot of results. We stay focused on what we can control. We stay focused on our training. We stay focused on our races. Nobody knew except us how good Ryan and Quincy were. And I was running the day before with Steve Spence. We were previewing the course together, and he was asking me about it. And I kept it pretty close to my vest. I said, I think they're going to do okay. I think they're both going to be all conference. But I didn't tell him that I think Ryan had a chance to win it. And so we really caught them by surprise on that. And that was a good thing. As we move into the regional, what's going to happen is we bring in that West Virginia conference. There's a third conference, but they don't have very many good teams in that one, so they're kind of over to the side. But the West Virginia Conference has a team that's ranked top 3 in the region in Charleston, and they're going to be very good. There's a guy named Wetzel from Concord who is probably going to win the whole thing. Now, what we're looking at is where can we get an inside track on getting Ryan and Quincy into the top 5. Now, for Ryan, we're looking at one individual from that other conference that can beat him. That means he could be 3rd, and so that means he'll go. If he gets in the top 5, anybody in the top 5 automatically advances to NCAAs. Now the question is, where does Quincy hold out? Well, if Quincy can beat the kid from Gannon, which I think he can, that would also put him in the top 5 as far as individuals, because that would mean he would be ahead of all of the Edinburgh guys and all of the Charleston guys who are advancing as a team. So he would get to go as well. So it's a narrow track for Quincy to make it to the NCAAs. So what will we do? Well, we're going to continue to train the way we've been training. We're going to continue to follow the program that I've used for the last decade, same approach to it. And what we find with the way we do things is this. When we go up in distance, traditionally, my men and women have been able to my men, because they go up into 10K, they've been able to maintain the same effort level over 10 kilometers. So if a guy's averaging 5:10 for 8K, our guys average 5:10 per mile for 10K. Whereas that tends to not happen with other teams. They have a slight drop off in performance. And our program is designed like that. It takes a whole season to get them to that point. But it's carefully laid out so that we can do that. So they actually look like they elevate. So oftentimes our guys will be 3-4 places higher, maybe even 10 places higher at the regional than they were at the conference meet, because they, over the last 2 kilometers, they actually gain more people. So because we're playing the long game on this. We're playing the long game on it all the time.
And then on the ladies' side, like you said, it was a somewhat frustrating because of the course conditions, but what can you take from that race to help on the ladies' side to help Kenzie here potentially try for that?
I mean, like you said, most of the competition that we're going to have at regionals we just raced against, so we have a little clearer idea of where people are going to be finishing. I think that Kenzie will be able to improve on her place. She goes out at a pace that, in a place where it's more comfortable for her to be, and she can work her way through the field a little better. And I think that hopefully Lindsay realizes that she needs to stay in contact with Kenzie, because she finished right behind her, and sometimes I think she doesn't have the confidence yet as a sophomore to really go out and push herself to the level that she can. So I think that it will be a good race where they can both go out at a pace that is reasonable for them, and they can move up through the field. And that's the goal for them. And also, just for the rest of them too, I know that they will have an idea of who they should be around, and who they should be keying on, who are the people that were right in front of them that they should be able to try and beat this time. And if everybody is healthy, I think they're going to do better. So.
We've already profiled the course down there. It is hilly. It is brutally hilly. The finish is something like a 12% grade over the last 200 meters. It was described by one of my fellow coaches as a soul-sucking finish. So, and that sounds like something that Ryan and Quincy are just going to love. So.
All right, love to hear that.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, a lot of people don't realize truly, because you guys mentioned it a couple times, truly the mental toll that goes into this. Because you obviously see the physical toll, because I don't think there's ever been a good picture of a cross-country runner at the finish of a race.
No.
But
No.
But so you see the physical, but the mental aspects of running. How important is that for an athlete?
You have to just be able to be willful in a positive way. They have to just really learn to bear down through that kind of intensity and stay focused. There's been studies that show that athletes will give up long before they're physically capable of giving up. So you have to encourage that on a daily basis. You have to do hard things on a regular basis. Our guys run up Pickle Hill. It's 500 feet in a half mile. It's 18% grade at times. They do that at least once a week. They do it for fun, and sometimes they go out and run it just as hard as they can just to see if they can get the segment. So that's the kind of thing. So like when they hear about a hill being finished, they're just like, yeah, whatever, Pickle Hill, we can do that. So it is extraordinarily important, but it's not something that you can't say it to them the night before and get them pumped up. You can't say it to them during the race. It's something that's it's chronic, it's long term. You have to build it up day by day by day, and as a coach you have to be right there at the right moment to say the positive thing, like, yeah, that's tough, that's how you do that, this is worth it. And then the kids hear that, and then they go and they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. And then when they fail, then you say, it's all right, we'll get up and we'll do it again. And that's really what it's like for cross-country runners.
All right, well, thank you both so much for coming on here.
Yep. Well, thank you. So have a great day.
Yeah. And Mounties Midweek rolls on after this. Don't go anywhere. All right.
Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Oh, what a play!
18 universities.
How competitive is this?
23 championships.
It's over. We have new PSAC champs.
7,100 student athletes. Make the PSAC yours.
My PSAC is passion.
My PSAC is pride.
PSAC is Pennsylvania.
Passion, pride, Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart.
With 10 state parks, 2 federal parks, and over 400,000 acres of state forest land, outdoor recreation certainly does live here, offering hiking, biking, horseback riding, ATV trails, hunting, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, and so much more.
Close to many urban areas, but far away from the hustle and bustle, you'll feel like you've found a hidden corner of the East Coast where you can experience world-class, authentic outdoor adventure. Whether it's a family outing, a personal challenge, or even a leisurely walk, it all takes on a new perspective in these spectacular surroundings.
Follow our gurus through the Step Outdoor series at visitpottertioga.com and start planning your adventures today.
It's a small community, close-knit, it's beautiful. Now, as we join UPMC, it just opens a whole new world.
Together, UPMC and Susquehanna Health are bringing life-changing medicine to north central Pennsylvania.
UPMC brings extraordinary innovation to virtually every aspect of the work we do.
Exchanging ideas, sharing research, it's a tremendous opportunity to learn in real time with world-class experts.
Changing lives every day. UPMC Susquehanna.
Welcome back here to Sports Talk. Let's talk sprint football as we're joined by head coach John Evans. And coach, here at the end of the season, a winning season, first winning season for Mansfield football since 2003. How does that feel?
Feels good. It's fun coming into work on a Monday morning when you're winning. Believe me.
Absolutely.
and it helps recruiting. We got phone calls, and yeah, it's nice.
What was the turning point of this season, do you think? Because you finished the season on that 4-game win streak, started off tough. What was the turning point for this team?
I think the bye week helped us a lot, and I think having a pretty harsh talk with some of the underclassmen after that third loss, things turned around. Attendance was perfect, study table was perfect. The things off the field that tended to get a little sloppy was getting much better.
This week, before we get into the actual game for St. Thomas Aquinas, before you guys left, you had the burning of the shoe, a tradition here. What do you feel in the messages these seniors were able to send to the underclassmen? What do you feel that those underclassmen took away from this?
Well, I think the seniors have been through a rough road. I've been with them all through the whole ride, and we've had a lot of losses, a lot of players not graduate. So I think our underclassmen really did a lot. We took the ashes from the shoe to St. Thomas Aquinas with us, and they put them on their face and on their jerseys, and those ashes will stay with us for the year. They'll go up next year on the road with us. So those seniors will be a part of us from here on out.
And in their final game, they had quite a game, a 33-12 victory. What were some of the things that stood out against this team?
I think a big turning point is we called a fake punt. I think we were up 13-6, and it was a 4th and 3, and we called a fake punt. And Dewan Bowie ran 11 yards for the first down, and we took it in to score. So that was a big turning point. I think they saw the fact that we can score. We went up 20-6, I believe. Our kicker, Caden Fisher from the track team, kicked 3 extra points the other night. So things were just gelling. So everything was firing on all cylinders. We didn't have much go wrong up there.
And in these last 2 games, really, Adam Hutchison has showed up. He wanted to end on a very high note and did. What did you see from him, especially in these last 2 games, to have such a great couple of games?
Well, the senior leadership was huge. And as I said 2 weeks ago, that just the maturity of letting the clock go down. That's something that even as a staff we don't think too much about. He just stood up there and let the clock go down to 5 before he called the play. One of the nice things that I loved Friday was that he went over and he got to play a little defense too. Last series of the game he played safety, and then they went back and punted, and he returned the punt. So he and also all of our senior linemen played a little bit of defense too. So it was just a nice finish for all of them.
Yeah, so for them to be able to have those moments of really everything coming together. As a coach, when you see that, how does that feel for you?
Well, that's what it's all about. I think this team has been, like I said, we struggled. I wish we had our 3 opponents from the beginning now, because I think there'd be a couple of different stories. I've already talked to one of the head coaches that beat us, and his message to me was that he's glad he's not playing us now. So I think that we finally have matured. The freshmen aren't freshmen anymore, in my opinion. They're veterans, and they all rose to the occasion Friday night.
Yeah, with this season, let's go back and talk those first 3 games that really, a couple of them got out of hand. What did these freshmen learn from those games? You touched on it, but what did these freshmen learn from those games, helped by the seniors, to really turn the page in that bye week?
Well, I think the big thing for us was 2 things: mistakes and penalties. We made an awful lot of mistakes, correctable mistakes, again, that we went back and corrected the following week, but we also had an awful lot of penalties, and I don't know how many penalty yards we had Friday. We had more than usual, but we were only averaging 70 or 75 yards a game in penalties for the next 3 games after the 3 losses. So that's big. When you limit mistakes and limit penalties, it gives you more time to do what you need to do.
And so this chapter of Mansfield Sprint Football, 4-3 on the year, how is this going to help now as you move into the off season, coming off the first winning season for a sprint football team here, and the most wins for a sprint football team here? What can you take from this season as you go into the off season, start with recruiting? What can you use to really promote this program?
Well, the nice thing is going around and telling you got a winning record, because that's usually the first thing a recruit goes is how did you do last year? And after a 1-6 or a 2-5 season, it's hard to say, but we should have done better. This year we were 4-3, and I think we could have done better and then to get another game or two. But to say we had a winning season is huge. Recruits are. I'm heading out of here in just a few minutes and going up to upstate New York and hitting Section 2 pretty hard. We already got a bunch of kids waiting for us up there.
And Coach, last week you got some great news as well, as the interim tag is removed. How does it feel to be back here full time with no word interim before head coach?
It feels good. I mean, somebody asked me that a couple of weeks ago, what did I think about it? And to me, it's just a label. And I always say we label things in our cupboard, not people. So really, it's great. It's great to know that the college has faith in me to lead the program for one more year. But, I really didn't think too much about it.
And although your players, the players who are coming back, when they can see that stability is now here with that interim tag removed and you're going to be back for another year, how does that help them going into the off season?
Well, I hope a lot. I hope it motivates them to get better. I mean, we've got a lot of work to do. We still are making a lot of mistakes, but my whole staff is staying on through the winter, which is good, which will help for recruiting also. So I think the stability of the program is at a place it hasn't been at since I've been here. So that's big.
And Coach, let's say, what were some of the best moments this season for you in your first season here as the head coach?
Well, I go all the way back to that Sacred Heart scrimmage. That first win was huge. And I think we got a little overconfident because we played pretty well against them and then let our guard down against Penn, Chestnut Hill, and Navy. But for me, it was just watching the team come together, watching the fruition of the labor that we've done recruiting all these guys, and to be able to end with the seniors having some fun. And I'll look back at that. To me, that was the most important thing, was watching the seniors win.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, congratulations on a great year, and thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And Mounties Midweek rolls along after this. Do not go anywhere.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves. Our vision, our heart, our drive to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
Welcome back here to Sports Talk. Let's recap here of the women's soccer season as it has come to a close, and it was your first season at the helm, Mr. John Schaefer. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me back again.
So let's talk about this season as a whole. When we talked at the beginning of the year, you said that the key thing for this team might not be the wins and losses, but improvement in every area. How do you feel that mission went?
Overall, very happy with the process of the team. We talked from the get-go about, it's not about wins and losses, it's about building the culture, building the style of play, building the team chemistry, just starting at the foundation, building up. And very happy with the progress we made. Would have loved some better results here or there, but very happy with the team culture and where we're at. And the girls are really positive going into the off-season.
What was some of the things during this season that you heard from a couple players or something that you saw on the field that we are in the right direction? This is the way to change the culture. What were some of those moments that stood out this year?
I mean, first off, just style of play. Our last game against Mercyhurst, I thought was possibly our best game in terms of style of play. We committed to passing it out of the back. We committed to being really organized defensively. Probably could have got out of the game 0-0 if we don't make just a few mental mistakes, but it was really a culmination of everything we've been training. So that game was a real positive in terms of the soccer. And in terms of the team spirit, the fact that some of our best practices were the last week of the season or last 2 weeks of the season, I mean, that just speaks amazingly to the girls and their effort, because I mean, when you're not winning games and it's a long season and it's a rainy season, tough to keep spirits up, but they were really positive all year.
I had a couple of your players on here this year, and I asked them about what the difference was. And every time I had talked to them, they said, the thing about Coach Schaefer is he makes us want to play soccer again. When you hear that from your group, to say that you're the reason they have come back and motivated and ready to play soccer, how do you feel?
Humbled. Unbelievably humbling. They're an amazing group of young women, and they made my job easy. They bought in, they worked unbelievably hard, they were coachable, and so I'm humbled by it, because comments like that are all a coach would ever want, regardless of results.
And so one of the big moments of this season, of course, that win at Cal, able to go to Cal and steal that victory from their homecoming too. So what did that do when you got to go back on that bus with a group of victors?
It was amazing. I was unbelievably happy for them. It was a huge weight off their shoulders. I got emails from alumni thanking me for the victory and for what it meant for the program. And I immediately responded to those alumni and said, I appreciate it, but it's all the girls. I mean, I came here from a winning program, winning high school program, so I only had to live through 1 year of tough results. These seniors, these juniors, these sophomores, they've been through it for a year or more now, and so that win was just amazing for them. And unfortunately, I was kind of a Debbie Downer on that game, because I said, it's amazing that we got the result, but we did not play great. We hung on the whole second half, and so I love the result. But going back to your first question about the process, it's awesome to get a win, and the program needed a win. Now we need to get a win and play well and show that. But that day was amazing and made for a great bus ride home.
Absolutely. At the end of the year, maybe in a way, you never want to say an injury is a good thing, but the injuries that did happen at the end of the year were to some of the upperclassmen, so you kind of got a preview at, other than incoming freshmen, what you're going to have or what Mansfield's going to have with this program. How does that help, if you look forward to another year, how does that help, or does it help when you have a chance early to look at that group?
No, definitely it helps to get a peek at the future. Alexis Biddle, she had to fill in for Bria the last week of the season as a forward, and I was excited to see what she might look like there. And just last week I had a great discussion with her about, hey, how'd that feel, and what'd you think? And there was real energy in her going forward. So getting a peek at that was obviously making a positive out of a tough situation.
And also in that last week, you mentioned about practices in that last week. One of those was a Halloween practice. What does that do for team bonding? Not specifically the Halloween, but when you can have fun moments like that, where you don't have to be as serious and headstrong into the soccer, but can have a chance to sit back, relax, and laugh a little bit with teammates.
I just think it's, I mean, for lack of a better word, I know I say it a lot, but it's just so positive, and it allows you to take a break from the seriousness, and that's a big focus of how I try to coach. There's moments of being relaxed, and then that way, when we need to focus, we focus. And I just think it's hard to have athletes be turned on 100% all the time. So you have to have those lighthearted moments. And I think it's important that they see me laugh. I think it's important that I see them laugh. And so the Halloween practice was phenomenal. Seeing them dress up as, pumpkin pie and all the different outfits, it was awesome.
And Coach, I know you want to have that interim tag here removed coming up. But
thanks for bringing that up.
But I mean, though, it's interesting because now you start into this off season where there's a bit of unknown surrounding it. How do you approach this off season? Because you still want to recruit, you still want that role. So what does this portion of the season, this off season now entail for you?
Well, from the first night I met the girls, that Sunday night of preseason, I told them I was going to coach like I was going to be here for 20 years. My vision is to build something special here. And so I'm recruiting like I'm going to be here next year. If I'm not, hopefully I've left the program in a better place than I found it. If I'm here, then awesome. It's funny, I was talking with my wife this week, and I've been busier the last week out of season, quote unquote, out of season than I was in season, because in season you have a kind of set schedule. I practice here, we play here, you kind of have those 2 months mapped out. The first week of the off season, it's emails from recruits here, texts here, hey, can I go watch this district playoff game? Hey, can I go to this tournament? And so I've just been buzzing, and it's so exciting having recruits onto campus, getting those verbal commits, the NLI signing days coming up. So it's just really a positive energy, but super busy.
Yeah, I can bet. And hey, you know what? In a way, it's perfect timing too, because you mentioned the districts starts. In the past couple of weeks, so you've had a chance to travel. What has been a challenge for the recruiting process for you? Because you said you came from high school. You don't really have to recruit. You get the kids from the area. But how has this been for you, going on the recruiting trail?
I got lucky that the club I coached for, the director of the club was the women's coach at Clarion University and Lock Haven University, a men's coach on the college side, and so I was able to have a sneak peek into it, working with the club. Doing it firsthand is definitely an eye-opener. Biggest challenges is the question about, hey, we love the university, we like your energy, we like where the program's headed, what you're talking about, but will you be here next year? So that's obviously one hurdle to jump over. And the second hurdle is just finances. I'm going up against, there's some private schools in the PSAC that have a lot of money. There's some other PASHE schools in the PSAC that have a lot of scholarship money. But Brittany, the field hockey coach, was amazing, speaking with me early on about getting kids to buy into the program and the culture. And if they want to come play for the program, then the money doesn't necessarily matter as much. And so that's been a challenge, but it's also been something rewarding to say, I'm going to outwork all the other coaches in the PSAC, and I'm going to make it more personal. I'm not just going to throw money at a player. I'm going to let that player know where I see her fitting into the program and describe the culture I want to build and the vision I want to build, and hopefully that young woman wants to be part of the culture regardless of what we can offer.
And Coach, I'll leave you here on this. We talked here at the beginning of the season about your mission for this year. Do you feel like that mission has been accomplished?
Partially.
All right. All right, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by here.
Thank you.
And Mounties Midweek rolls along after this. Do not go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
I think that the strengths of the program are the professors.
Actively care about making you a better teacher.
To go into the schools from your freshman year.
We're in the classroom almost every semester that we are here at Mansfield.
My path to a college degree would have been completely different had I not run Division II cross-country for the University of Mount Olive. Having an athletic and academic scholarship was key for my success. Our coaches were really helpful with balancing out my academics and athletics. I decided to attend graduate school because I wanted to become an athletic director. Receiving the postgraduate scholarship through the NCAA provided me with the flexibility to choose the school that I wanted. So now I know that I can accomplish any goal that I set for myself.
Welcome back here to Sports Talk. We're getting into the swing of winter sports starts this weekend, November 10th. As well, let's talk men's basketball as their season starts, and I'm joined by head coach John Senesi. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Drew. No problem.
So this week it already begins here this week. So a tournament this week, but an early season tournament. What are your expectations for this group?
Our expectations are, number one, that we play with energy and enthusiasm. We've kind of tried to instill that from the first practice, in that if you're not enjoying being out here and being on the floor and getting better and competing, then don't do it. And I think our guys have really bought into that so far. We've had 2 scrimmages and we've seen improvement from the first one till the one we just had this past Saturday. So I expect us to come out and play hard. And the tournament's going to be very challenging in that Shaw University's on the verge of being nationally ranked and has a 7-foot center, and they have some wings that are very athletic and 6'7", 6'6", and a shooter that was 5th in the country last year in terms of number of three-pointers made. So they've got a nice balance, but I like where we're at right now.
You know, you mentioned the 7-foot center that they have. This team, I don't want to say height deficient because that's not the right word for us, but I mean, we're a smaller team in terms of the guys around. So how does that affect the strategy against a team that has very tall defenders?
It certainly does affect it. I mean, we're probably going to start our tallest player be about 6'5", and come off the bench with another 6'5". So we're really vertically challenged maybe in that regard, but it does change a little bit of the strategy, especially at the defensive end, and how we're going to try to defend them, because you know, whether we play some zone or whether we play man and mix it up and play a sagging man or whatever. But we've got some ideas of some things we're going to try this week in practice to see how they look. They're a very athletic team, so we're probably not going to be able to run up and down the floor with them. We're going to need to be able to make shots and be unselfish like we have been, and I like our chances. And rebound especially. We've got to be able to be box out and rebound. We've been really working on that in practice, and this week it'll be the same kind of thing. And after watching film from our scrimmages, that's certainly an area we've improved on in the last couple of weeks, but we still need to get better. And we do those things. We make some shots and rebound, take care of the ball, and we'll be fine.
You know, with this team, there's a lot of new faces, including your own. How important it has been early season chemistry and trying to build that chemistry, that way it comes naturally on the court.
Right. That's one of the biggest challenges, I think, of any team, even with returning players sometimes, is building a chemistry. And I'm really excited at where we're at with that, because, you know, we just scrimmaged on Saturday and we were very unselfish on the floor. Nobody cared who scored. Guys made shots. Guys were happy for each other, which I thought was great to see when you're happier for your teammate. making a great play almost than you are yourself. And that shows some great unselfishness, but chemistry is a very fragile thing when it comes to teams. And so it's something that right now we've been building on, and we can still get better in terms of our team chemistry, but for a short amount of time and a couple of weeks of practice, I think we made great improvements in that area, and hopefully we can continue that on.
So you guys, and basketball really has one of the longest seasons, I think, out of any of the sports, because you're a winter sport, and we're not in winter yet. We start here November 10th, as I mentioned. How important is this early season, and to try and set the tone for such a long season?
I think it's very important to experience success early. If you struggle early, it can be difficult to rebound from that and try to get some wins mid-season and late season. What really I think we need is to experience some success, and it doesn't always have to be in terms of winning every game, but we have to see improvement and success and have good, strong leadership on the court, because I think that's key in making progress from one week to the next and building from one week to the next. But we've challenged ourselves with a schedule early that's going to help us later. We're not going to see quite as athletic of a team as Shaw or St. Augustine's later in the season as much. The PSAC has some very athletic players, but top to bottom on a roster, Shaw and St. Augs may be as athletic of teams as we'll see. So having them early, I think, is only going to make us better moving into the regular season for us.
So you and I had talked earlier when you first got the head coaching gig about any players who stood out. Now that a couple weeks have passed since then, who has really taken that next step to be like, he's going to be the X factor for us?
I would have to say in the scrimmage this past Saturday, Taylor Sweeney really rebounded the ball very, very well, was active at both ends of the floor, scored some points. Our point guard, Ryan Bernstein, really did a nice job Saturday. Boz, I guess he'd probably rather me call him that, sorry. But did a great job of running the offense, making shots, putting pressure on the defense, and he just played very, very hard. Probably our steadiest player, I might say, is Garrett Cook, is a new player for us this year, who can really shoot the ball, but you know what you're going to get from Garrett day in and day out, which is really good from a coaching perspective to know what he's going to be able to give you. We've had Tyler Moth has been a little bit banged up here and there with some minor injuries that aren't going to be season ending or anything like that, but nagging, and hopefully we can correct that this week. Nasir Marshburn, excuse me, also had a little bit of injury, had a wrist surgery over the summer, and sometimes that bugs him a little bit. But he's also been playing very well for us. Mike Rell coming off the bench, he's a smart player. He's a pretty good ball handler. He's a really good shooter for us. I mean, we've just got, Riley Collins has been around here a few years, and we know he's going to play hard every time he gets out on the floor. So we've got some pieces there, and several other players as well. I mean, I'm not trying to discount anyone else because everybody's working hard and giving us effort, and we're getting better every single day, which is really the exciting thing. Because a lot of us coaches say you want to peak in February, or you don't want to peak too early, and we want to peak all year long is kind of the way I look at it. So if we continue to improve, that's our main goal from this point on.
And looking at the season, early in these games, the strategy, because I mean, you really haven't had live scouting, you haven't had a chance, some of the players, but they don't know a lot of our players. How is that a benefit at all, that they're coming in almost blind to what Mansfield's going to bring them?
Well, I mentioned that Saturday after our scrimmage, because our next competition against another opponent won't be until Saturday at Shaw, and I said to our players, I said, we were 7-19 last year, and that might be one of the biggest reasons Shaw invited us to come down and play. And I said, they don't know what we have. and that's a great thing for us. They may prepare based on how we were last year, but with 9 new faces, we're not who we were last year either, and neither are they. Amir Hinton, the PSAC's leading scorer, has transferred to Shaw, so we know a little bit about him, but they have quite a few new players as well, transferred from Oklahoma State, and so they've got pieces that we know are talented and athletic. But hopefully they still have the same coaching staff, so they may run a lot of the same things offensively, which I've been able to watch film on from the previous year or two and see how they attack zone offenses, man offenses, get up and down the floor. So we have a little bit of knowledge there. But you're right, in a way, it's almost going in not blindly, but with not as much information as we're going to have when we play Bloomsburg, Lock Haven, Millersville, and get into the meat of the PSAC. So I think it's a good thing for us that they don't know a lot about us right now, and I'm going to preach that all week, and we're just going to continue to work hard, and we're not going to surprise anyone by beating. We're not going to surprise ourselves by beating these teams, but we might surprise other people. So.
And speaking of under the radar, a couple weeks ago we had the PSAC preseason standings. Before we get into the plays, how much do you as a coach put into any preseason predictions?
I put nothing into it, truthfully. To me, it doesn't matter where you start; it matters where you finish. And I think that the preseason rankings, whether it be all conference players or teams being ranked, are more so for other people to talk about and create some buzz about the sport or the conference. I don't look at that as it was a media day we had, and that's basically what the conference does every year, so we do it, and it's an opinion of others to pick where you're at on October, whatever it may be, without knowing much about anything. So a lot can change once the first games begin, and I think that's what we're going to see. And our goal isn't, our goal is to be in the PSAC playoffs. Whether we're the number 1 seed, the 6th seed, somewhere, wherever, you got to get in. And that's our main goal right now. So where we finish will matter versus where we start.
So picked tied for 7th. How can you use that, though, in a way? Can you use that to try and fly under the radar and surprise some teams?
Well, hopefully. I guess you could say, I'm hoping that may be the case. I believe that Decker Gym is a pretty good home court for us to have. The teams that the Kutztowns, Millersvilles, Westchesters, East Stroudsburgs, they have a long trip to make to get to Decker Gym when they play us up here. I like that advantage in a lot of ways. Unfortunately for us, we have that same trip to everywhere else we go. But I like that, playing in Decker Gym, I think, is a tough place for other teams to come up and play us at home. And we got to try to steal a couple on the road here and there. So, I definitely think being tied for 7th with Lock Haven, I believe it was, it is what it is, but when the game starts, I don't think any other coaches or us are even thinking about that. It's 5-on-5 out on the floor, whether you're picked 1st or 7th in the division, it doesn't matter once the ball goes up.
Yeah. But in terms of players' mind, how do you have to preach that philosophy to these players that, hey, just don't pay attention to it, just go out and play the game?
I haven't talked about it at all. I assume they have within themselves, but in practice, in film, or whatever, I have not mentioned being tied for 7th preseason to them at all. I've mentioned our goal is to make the PSAC playoffs. How we get there, every road's a little different for everybody. It doesn't matter. You got to get there. So I have not at all discussed that with them because I think everyone in the room believes we're better than that. And I truly believe that as well, and I think our players do. So I'm sure they've discussed it a little bit, and based on where we finished last year and new staff and new players, and it probably was fitting maybe that they picked us that way. I may have done the same thing if I was in another coach's shoes and had to pick where Mansfield was going to end up for the preseason. But I have not mentioned it at all to our players.
All right. Well, Coach, your season starts this week. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mounties Midweek rolls along after this. Do not go anywhere.
under the lights or under the sun. No one delivers Division II sports like NCAA.com. The center of D2 is inside the NCAA.com hub, with exclusive highlights of every sport and live broadcasts of every Division II championship found nowhere else. Make NCAA.com yours, the home of Division II college sports.
Welcome back here. It is time once again for Play of the Week. But as always, before we get to this week, let's start with last week. It was Brandon Allen's 94-yard fumble recovery touchdown up against the incredible diving save from Brittany Ryan. And based on your votes, this was your winner.
Snap, he's going to go himself. The ball came out and scooped up, and he is gone at the 40, the 50. Good night. And that is a touchdown.
This week, we have football once again up here as it is Adam Hutchison to Quinn Henry, who lays out for the touchdown, part of Quinn Henry's 2-touchdown day against St. Thomas Aquinas. That play is against Ryan Clifford's performance at the PSAC Championships. Finishes second place, the highest finish ever for a Mansfield cross-country runner at the PSAC meet. You can vote for which play and performance is Play of the Week on Twitter at Mountie All Access. Results will be revealed next week, and next week we start the Play of the Fall. All of the winners that you voted on this year will be put in a bracket, and we will see which was the best play of the fall. You will not want to miss that. That starts next week, but make sure you go vote for this week.
Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Oh, what a play!
18 universities.
How competitive is this?
23 championships.
It's over. We have new PSAC champs.
7,100 student athletes. Make the PSAC yours.
My PSAC is passion.
My PSAC is pride.
PSAC is Pennsylvania.
Passion, pride, Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
As I've gone through school, I've been trying to pay off my tuition as I go, and it wouldn't have been possible without the help of the Mansfield Foundation.
The Mansfield Foundation already helped me a lot. As of right now, I don't have any school debt whatsoever, and I know the Mansfield Foundation has definitely helped with all the scholarships that I've received over the years for that.
The Mansfield Foundation has helped me out several times throughout my college career. They have helped keep my finances intact.
If you have any sort of instincts, you can get a feel of good people and bad people. Like the people at the foundation are as straightforward as they come.
close-knit, it's beautiful. Now, as we join UPMC, it just opens a whole new world.
Together, UPMC and Susquehanna Health are bringing life-changing medicine to North Central Pennsylvania.
UPMC brings extraordinary innovation to virtually every aspect of the work we do.
Exchanging ideas, sharing research, it's a tremendous opportunity to learn in real time with world-class experts.
Changing lives every day. UPMC Susquehanna.
I knew that there was an opportunity to have my college paid for if I was good enough to play baseball at that level. That was going to make a big difference in my family. D2 baseball gave me an opportunity to play at a high level and to get an education that's going to be valuable for me throughout the rest of my life. I chose to take my experience of being a student athlete and pursue that within my career and to get a master's degree. If I wouldn't have had a baseball scholarship, there'd be no chance that I'm doing what I'm doing today.
That's all we have for you this week. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.